think a real good starting point is talking about your game's hook. I'm a big fan of, I'm kind of like a discovery guy. And by discovery, I mean, how do people find out about your game? And often it's, you have a viral idea or you have an interesting idea behind your game. So I do think it's a really good idea to think about your game and your marketing as two things that very much interact with each other, not just two completely separate things. Like, oh, I'm going to develop now and then I'm going to do the marketing. So I think, finding a good hook, and by a good hook I mean something where someone looks at that game and says, oh, that game's got a fresh idea, or that game's a twist on something I really liked. I think that's a great starting point. And then I think the next thing for me, I mean, depends on how long you're making the game for, but really getting a good vertical slice of gameplay working and getting just one level that doesn't need to look like the final game, but it can look pretty good. And then you can really go out there and you can announce your game, and you can put up a Steam page if you're going to put it on Steam, and you can do a YouTube trailer, and you can maybe email some media outlets and set up your Discord. So yeah, I'm a big fan of really getting out there and sort of trying to coordinate a launch for your game. I mean, you can talk about it a bit beforehand, but having a launch where maybe you can try and get Rock, Paper, Shotgun to pick up on your game, or you can put a trailer out there. And, obviously we're not expecting everyone to get 100,000 views on their trailer, but it just sort of starts, it's a good line in the sand for kind of like a starting point. So I think if you can still start there and then start interacting with your Discord, have some private or public demos of your game, maybe start talking to streamers about your game, try and show them early versions, and do a little bit of social media, and then just keep trying to find the newest and best ways of attracting people into your community, like using Reddit or TikTok or Imager, or being in Steam Next Fest. There's so many games out there, but there's also so many potential players, and that's what makes the space so exciting.
Yeah, it can be an overwhelming amount of like marketing avenues though. Like, do you think, and I'm just having a discussion, because these are the questions I get. I get asked a lot, like, do I have to do it all? Do I have to have 10 different social media accounts? Like, does it depend on the genre of game, whether you should focus on Discord or whether you should focus on Reddit?
Yeah, I think it's a mistake to try and tick all the boxes. So I definitely agree with your students or other folks there. I think it's a good idea to try and pretty ruthlessly prioritize the stuff that might make a difference. And for me right now, I think the stuff that seems to make a difference is, basing your community around Discord is great, because then you can always go back and ask them questions, and it's just that's almost not marketing. That's almost like a way to make your game better. It is also marketing, I guess. So I think if you prioritize that, and then streamers and streamer outreach, I think those are the things that can often make a difference if you have a streamer friendly game. And I think other things are important, but sometimes we do overrate other things. A good example, I think, is Twitter. Like, Twitter is great, and it's often great for all of us personally, because we can tweet stuff on there, we can feel like it gets retweets and people care about the game, and I think so it's good for morale. But I'm not sure Twitter is always the best for actually translating well to sales. And I've seen some games recently that I've worked with publishers on that have had very poor Twitter performance, and then have sold hundreds of thousands of copies. So I think it's a good idea to understand, like, each of these areas is kind of a filter bubble, and you just need to work out, is the filter bubble on TikTok or Twitter or Reddit the right filter bubble for your game, and how does it really translate to people actually wanting to play or buy your game later?
Yeah, you got to try it out, and you have to experiment, I think, and it can be overwhelming at first, but then you find out what works for you. And like for me, like the first tree, I did numbers on Twitter and Tumblr and Reddit and Imager, but I found out later that it was just Reddit and Imager that made the huge difference in sales. And I didn't know that until I tried out the other platforms. So yeah, you got to try them out, I guess.